kick in that the season for the Houston Texans is over. I haven't done a game breakdown this week. I haven't talked about what we should look at. I haven't looked at any injury reports. The season is really over for our Houston Texans team. Guys, before we continue, this episode was brought to you by Bet Online. If it's playoff time, and the road to Vegas goes through San Francisco and Baltimore. BetOnline is your number one source for playoff football odds, stats, trends, and lines with everything from spreads to hundreds of player performance props. Head to BetOnline today. Stay updated on all the action. BetOnline. The game starts here. Unfortunately, Harley, there is no game for the Houston Texans this week, man. How is your off season going?
It feels good, man. Feels good. Obviously we want to be in the dance still. We obviously always want to be in there. But in terms of future outlook, hey, the biggest news for a lot of Texans fans,
Mm,
Bobby Slowick most
mm,
likely not going anywhere.
wow,
Gerard Johnson is still up in the air, but who
potentially.
knows? It's looking more and more like the Houston Texans are going to keep both their offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach going into year two of CJ Stroud. Year two with them boys, I'm
Huge.
pretty excited. Exactly.
I mean, with Bobby Slowick, you know what's crazy, bro, is that all during the season I heard Bobby's not the guy. Bobby's bad. Bobby's not good. Thank you so much, Daniel Perez. Yes, almost there. Going to get there. But with Bobby Slowick, now no one wants him to leave. Now everyone wants him to stay at Houston Texans. And
Oh
you know
boy.
who was one of the first person to vouch for Bobby Slowick? It was Harley the Duganator himself. Harley, how do you feel about Bobby Slowick not only getting head coaching interviews, but potentially staying here for the Houston Texans? I mean, you just mentioned that earlier, but just a little bit more on
I feel like a proud father.
it.
I feel so happy for him. I do though. I was very high on Bobby Slowick, just PFF guy, someone that's worked on the defensive side, on the offensive side. That is somebody that Kyle Shanahan likes to do with his offensive coordinators. He also did it with Mike McDaniels as well during his time with Kyle Shanahan in
Mhm.
San Francisco. He's now done it with Bobby Slowick as well. He's also done it with a what I thought could be a potential replacement for offensive coordinator that's hidden in the 49ers ranks. But we don't have to talk about that until further down the road whenever
Next
we
year,
want to
hopefully.
whenever we want to grab him. We could talk about him a lot later. But Bobby Slowick, man, I'm happy to see him back. Yeah, was it his best game against the Ravens? No.
Hmm.
But at the same time, he did not have a Tank Dell. Your offense was shooting you in the foot. There was so many stuff that was happening besides Bobby Slowick's play calling. I don't think that was a big thing that was, should have been the cry for that loss against the Ravens. There was a whole bunch of other things. So, get this roster healthy
Mm.
and bolster it with some talent in this offseason through via free agency, via the draft, via the waiver wire. Take advantage of it, and let's work, man. Let's come back and let's get to work with Bobby Slowick and hopefully Gerard Johnson too.
Yeah, I actually, like that Bobby Slowick is getting these interviews. It shows that other teams recognize him as someone who could potentially lead their franchise. What you also like to hear is that Bobby Slowick is killing it in his interviews. Did fantastic with the Atlanta Falcons. That's where we thought he was going. He looks like someone who would coach the Atlanta Falcons. With that being said, I said it all, not all offseason, but the past 2 weeks. If I'm Bobby Slowick, I see what I have in year one, and that's something special with CJ Stroud. Now, not only do I look at him as someone to coach, but I look at this dude as someone who could potentially, with our success together, earn me an extra $3 to $5 million when I do decide to be a head coach. Bobby Slowick, I think it will be smart for him, not only coaching wise, get more experience calling plays one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, but also give yourself an opportunity to make yourself some more bread when you do become a head coach. Bobby Slowick, man, it's crazy the type of season that he has had as an offensive coordinator. Unfortunately, it did end on a sour note. The offense was just nowhere to be seen. It was only a 67-yard punt return by our boy Steven Sims, and that was a huge moment in itself. Harley, how excited are you for the Houston Texans to attack free agency and the draft?
I mean, stupid excited, man. We got a boatload of cap space as at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, bunch of guys that you either re-sign or either cut or let go.
Mm-hmm.
So you know you got to make the decisions there. Some are easier than others. Some pose the question of whether or not you want to bring them back. And the Houston Texans got themselves into a great opportunity to
Mm-hmm.
add talent to this roster. You're in the world. You're in. I was about to say the World Series, the Super Bowl window. You're in the Super Bowl window right now that is open for you. It's wide open, and the Houston Texans got to take advantage of a rookie contract in C.J. Stroud and help D'Amico Ryans, help Bobby Slowick as well. Help this offense, help this defense, and let's get it translation into the field.
No, 100%. I also caught myself looking at the draft. The Houston Texans, the 23rd pick is where they will be selecting in this year's upcoming draft. I am excited. I definitely think there will be some talent um, around picks 23. You also have the potential of trading back. Nick Casario has shown that he is willing to do whatever during the draft to go out there and select the player that he wants. Harley, once again, can you tell me your top 5 biggest needs for this Houston Texans team? Now, they don't have to be in order, but
Mhm.
what do you think the Houston Texans need to work on the most?
Cornerback,
Okay.
secondary. I just think this the safeties position. I just think the secondary in general, with D'Amico Liven to just pass rush with 4 guys. We mentioned this already. But him loving to just pass rush with just only 4 guys and see if he can get home with 4 guys, that puts a lot more pressure in your secondary. It also puts a lot more pressure on the defensive front. So that's why the D line and the interior specifically is number 3 on the list. And then it goes running back and wide receiver. Running back and wide receiver, we obviously got to get more weapons for CJ Stroud. Again, that isn't really an order of importance. All of those positions are important. We cannot stress enough how important a good to great running back is for this offense. We saw it already in years ago, a decade ago. Ah,
Yeah.
it was old, but a decade ago with Arian Foster, who was running roughshod in a Gary Kubiak offense. If you got somebody of that caliber running in this offense, okay, all systems go. Let's get it on. This offense will take off into another stratosphere. Same thing with wide receiver. We saw what it does when you have a decade ago when you had Andre Johnson in this scheme as well. And I'm not saying you can find anybody of that caliber, but there's definitely a boatload of wide receivers available as well if you want to go into free agency
Mm-hmm.
or if you want to take a more maybe conservative approach, double dip into some cheap wide receivers and trust that CJ Stroud and Bobby Slowick is going to be able to cook up schematically wide receivers open that are a lot better than the names of Noah Brown and John Mechie
Mm-hmm.
and Robert Woods. You can upgrade there. This team's offense they got a lot of potential right now.
So much. Yeah, I mean, like the sky's the limit for this Houston Texan offense. I think for me, I have to agree with you. I mean, me and no, it goes safety, it goes cornerback, defensive line, running back, wide receiver, and each and every one of those could deserve a need and upgrade. I don't think the Houston Texans do anything with the offensive line this year with how much they've already invested over the previous 3 years. Harley,
Mm-hmm.
so earlier today, or maybe it was yesterday, a clip of star wide receiver Devontae Adams from the Las Vegas Raiders. He was on the Up and Adams podcast,
Mm-hmm.
and it's only a minute long clip, but it's Devontae Adams talking about wanting CJ Stroud during the draft, advocating for them to go up and make a move for him, meeting him at Michael Rubin's all white party in the Hamptons, where CJ Stroud got so much criticism for being that in the first place.
Just think about that, man. Think about where we are from that day to now. Like
Yeah.
that's just crazy to me. You can continue. It's just crazy that where we are in this quarterback situation now.
And then, the last point that Devontae Adams mentioned was just how professional and how mature that CJ Stroud was. And he compared him to someone else, but he said CJ Stroud and the other guy are the most mature
Mhm.
first year guys he's ever seen while playing in the NFL. And when you talk about someone like Devontae Adams, there's no question this is arguably one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, coming off of 3 straight All-Pro years. And to hear him talk about CJ Stroud and really go in depth as to far as to say that I was advocating for him in the draft, even when we knew about the quarterback situation going on with the Las Vegas Raiders. Derek Carr goes to the Saints. Devontae Adams does not want a young quarterback. He did not come to the Raiders to be in a rebuild. Hear him talking about CJ Stroud in such a high manner. It gets me excited, bro.
Yeah, it does too. For me as well. Like you get somebody of the caliber of Devonte Adams, a legit wide receiver one. Look, he could have, he could have cried, he could have complained, he could have done what he could have done to get out of Las Vegas this last year. Who knows what happens? Does seem like with the addition of Antonio Pierce that team made a 360, started
Mhm.
winning a bunch of games. It seems like the players are behind him. So who knows if Devonte Adams wants to go back to that? But at the moment, your quarterback's Aiden O'Connell. Why do you want to do that if there's no plan to trade up in the draft and grab somebody that is superstar caliber potential? Hopefully, why you want to do that and go through all that mess and rubble when you can say, hey, you know what? I want to get traded to Houston. I want to play with CJ Stroud. I want to see what the Texans and D'Amico Ryans over there are cooking. I want to be a part of something special. I want to go back to a team that is winning with a superstar quarterback in CJ Stroud. And I want to help his development. And I want to grow as 31 years old, going to 32, make CJ's development a lot easier and see what we can cook down there in H-Town. That would be exciting.
No, totally agree. I think a lot of free agents should be looking at the Houston Texans as an opportunity to go get yourself a ring. This is what Jorge brings up, and this is where we get to the realistic part about Devontae Adams. What do you think we would have to give up for him, though? Now,
Let's
remember, he's
go.
still under contract with the Las Vegas Raiders, signed a 5-year, $140 million deal. Now, in his last 3 years, this is what he would be making annually. 2024, it says here $17.5 million. Then it skyrockets in 25 and 26 to 36 million and a quarter a year for 2 years. Now, Devontae Adams will also be around 34, 35 by the time his contract is up. So you are going to be paying a lot if you get someone like Devontae Adams. And now I understand why a lot of Houston Texans fans say, no, don't do it. Just go to free agency, just go to, the draft. And that's initially where I think the Houston Texans end up going. But if you want yourself a Hall of Fame wide receiver, and we talked about potentially trading for someone like A.J. Brown just a couple of days ago, this is a home run hit for you if you have the balls to go out there and do it.
Yeah, it's man, it's that's so much tougher because
It's a lot of
AJ
money.
Brown, it's a lot of money. And when the difference between him and AJ Brown is 6 years of age, AJ Brown is 26 years old. And I would definitely I would think about it within a heartbeat to go get AJ Brown. I would. I just think he's that special of a wide receiver, and the Houston Texans would thrive off a receiver like him, and they would with Devontae Adams. But I mean, it, come on, man, that's a lot of money that you're gonna have to eat. Or if the Raiders want to eat that money, then you have to give up a higher draft pick. So that's what it works. You're between what is it, a rock and a hard place.
Mm-hmm.
Either you eat that money, and it's okay. Well, we're gonna spend a bunch of our money on Devontae Adams and only give up, let's say, a fifth round pick, let's say two fifths, but you eat a bunch of that money. Okay. Yeah, you didn't give up a lot draft wise, but the cap space is going to hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
Or you let the Raiders tell them, hey, y'all are going to have to take the brunt of that money. Okay. The Raiders are going to say, hey, you know what, bud? If we're going to do that, we want a second round pick or a third round pick. And I'm just not willing to do either one of those options. I
Even
like
if they eat
Devontae
up half.
Adams. If they eat up half, I mean, you're still going to have to give up a third round pick. I don't know the Raiders cap
Mm-hmm.
situation, but a team is not going to be happy eating up any of that cap space and not really getting anything in return. It's just, I would, and I agree with Nacho there. I do say the same thing. I think draft is our best bet to save money in this situation. Um, I can't see this one happening.
It's definitely fun to think about, man. And
Yeah.
when was the last time you saw a Hall of Fame wide receiver talking about your rookie quarterback and really going in depth and how much he thinks he's mature and brings up a situation when he was back in Green Bay and how they felt about him. So it would be insane if the Houston Texans made a move like this. What's crazy is if they wanted to, they could. And that's
Yeah.
my main thing. And that's my main storyline this entire free agency, this entire offseason, the entire next 4 years. When you have CJ Stroud on a rookie deal, your window to make moves is now. You just found out in year one that this is your franchise quarterback, and you have another full 4 years to do something, make this roster a Super Bowl roster, and contend for titles until you have to make CJ Stroud the highest paid quarterback ever in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you got to bolster this roster. You got to do whatever it takes to, the biggest goal right now is to try to win a Super Bowl within the first 4 years before, like you say, you're going to have to make CJ Stroud the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. Especially if he continues along this trend, at which we all believe he will. So the first 300 guaranteed $1 million quarterback. I mean, that would be insane. That would be insane money. But it's a necessary evil. The Houston Texans would have to do that, but that's way down the road.
But it's
You have
coming.
to. Oh, it is coming. So we're already done with year one. It just felt like yesterday we were trudging through an off season of David Coley or Lovie Smith, and now we're stupid hyped about this Texans offseason with CJ Stroud and D'Amico Ryans.
And I think this is what we said, right? It goes back to that TikTok that I made is in this year, you're just so happy that the Houston Texans have surpassed all expectations. You're not supposed to be here. But the
Mm-mm.
next 10 to 15 years comes the expectation, comes the goals. If you don't make the playoffs with CJ Stroud as your quarterback, your season's going to be considered unsuccessful. So I'm just like you, bro. I felt like I was just with David Culley and Lovie Smith, and now it's all systems go. Let's get back to the postseason. Let's get back to fighting for a opportunity to get to a Lombardi. And now we could look more towards the NFL draft. I'm trying to bring up Mel Kiper's mock draft. I'm not sure if you have it.
Oh, it's on ESPN Plus, so I don't know if that would be. I don't know if you have ESPN Plus or not.
I do. Well, I have it
Um,
on the phone. Let me see.
but Mel Kiper did drop his first mock draft, only available to people that have ESPN Plus. I did a video already on it if anybody wants to check it out. But you'll hear my thoughts right here as well. We pick at 23, man, and it's definitely fun to be in the situation of, oh, okay, we're in the playoffs. We can look at best player available. We can even reach a little bit if we want to. Like, this team as a roster, obviously it's not complete yet, but we got to remember this is going to be after free agency. So after free agency, after whatever happens, and then you have the draft. I am so curious to see what the Houston Texans do at 23.
Mm. So I have it here. Let me know if I say his name wrong, Harley.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Jerzan
Jerzon.
Jerzon Newton,
Yes.
defensive tackle from Illinois. Now, this is what Mr. Kiper had to say. The Texans overachieved and won a playoff game on the back of a stellar rookie class, but they have to work. They have work to do this offseason. They have cap space to make moves, but also have several free agents, including top edge rushers Grenard, Dalton Schultz, Sheldon Rankins. Newton would both fill a void and be a high upside selection. Newton is the best interior pass rusher in this class. He had 16 and a half sacks in 3 seasons for the Fighting Illini.
Illini.
Illini, my fault. I'm sorry. He improved his pressure rate in every season, showing off impressive combination of strength and natural talent. He also has versatility, Bill O'Brien's favorite word, as 3 of his sacks were from when he lined up at the nose tackle. He could slot into Rakin's spot in the lineup. Jerzon Newton,
Yes, sir.
defensive tackle from Illinois. That's who Mel Kiper has us selecting. Harley, thoughts on that?
Oh, I'm stupid excited about that pick.
Mm,
Absolutely. You're looking at a guy in Jerzon Newton who, good friend of our channel, Believe in Falcons, Will McFadden, who did a crossover with me. He had a mock draft as well from the Believe Network. Make sure to go check it out on Believe Network. And at 23, and also it's for free. And at 23, he had the Texans taking Jerzon Newton. Now, first, off the top of my head, I don't think he's available at 23. That's
no.
how good he is. But he's being compared to Grady Jarrett. He's a two-time All-American. He's a Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. He had 44 pressures, led the nation with four, or actually tied for first in the nation with 44 pressures. You're talking about somebody that's good against the pass, good against the run. It's exactly what you need on this roster. You put him next to Will Anderson, and you're creating a beautiful stew. It is
Mm,
absolutely glorious to create pressure on the inside, and all you're going to do is cave the pocket for the quarterback. And once you cave the pocket for the quarterback, let Will Anderson and his improvements in the pass rush game, let him eat. All right.
mm.
Jerzon Newton is going to be serving up plates like a buffet table for Will Anderson. It's going to be beautiful if that happens here in Houston.
I wonder where they had my boy Kool-Aid McKinstry on this
Yeah, I
mock
forgot.
draft.
I know. I think he came. I think he went a little bit sooner. I can't remember.
Mm,
But obviously that's another name that I have no problem with. Um, I am so enamored with Jerzon Newton. I think he's a potential star to come out in the
really?
draft. I really do. Really high on him. Not bad on Kool-Aid McKinstry. Hey, you get a cornerback like him or his running mate and Terrion Arnold from Alabama as well. Either one of those guys at 23 is definitely somebody I'm all open arms for.
No, I think defensive tackle or cornerback is somewhere where
Yes.
you go into the draft. Someone brought up cornerback Sneed, the Jarius Sneed
Mm.
cornerback from the Kansas City Chiefs, having a fantastic season. They have him projected at a 3-year, $52.5 million deal with $35 million guaranteed annually. $17.5 million for Snead, who was 27 years old, in the middle of his prime. Um, Dude, that's a lot for a corner.
It is. I don't know if the Chiefs would want to let him go.
Mm,
And I know their cap space is always fluctuating, but they've restructured many times in the past. I just find it hard to believe that they've found a good cornerback like himself, and they would just let him go. It would give me the AJ Bouye impression,
mm.
like I still could not believe the Houston Texans let go of AJ Bouye. I did not agree with that decision whatsoever, but it is what it is. But I will say L'Jarius Sneed is legit. He is a legitimate cornerback that I would take. Again, all open arms for corners in this team. Him with Derek Stingley. Oh my
Mm.
goodness. At the same time, you also wonder, and I don't know this at all, but you also got to wonder, is he going to be happy being a cornerback 2 on the team, knowing that Stingley is a cornerback 1?
Mhm.
We don't know the answer to that question, of course, but you never know what happens with egos and anything like that. Because, come on, man, if you play in football and you're playing at it at a good level, great level, you definitely got an ego. You do.
Dude,
Everyone has an ego if you're playing at a great level.
I never had an ego, man. I was just,
There it is.
I was
There it is.
always on the straight and narrow,
Yep.
doing
Sure.
my best for the team,
Of course.
you know, trying to, first one in, last to leave,
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been looking at Bryce Huff, dude.
Mm.
Bryce Huff, edge rusher from the New York Jets, a homegrown talent with them. This dude was an undrafted rookie. Best year of the year. I'm sorry, best year of his career. 10 sacks, but this isn't a guy who was dominant against the run. He's kind of just, I'm going to go ahead and get to the quarterback, dude. I wonder what the Houston Texans are going to do. I spent all day today thinking about Jonathan Grenard. And,
Mm.
he's been on my mind the past couple of days. Like, do you want to let go of someone who not only did you draft, but 13 and a half sacks? And from PFF, we see that he is a top 8 qualifying edge defender in terms of run stop rate. So amongst the best at stopping the run as an edge defender. If I'm the Houston Texans, man, I do everything I can to bring him back. Now, question, I heard some, not I heard, but I saw a comment saying, bring out the franchise tag for Jonathan Grenard. I really don't think that's something that the Houston Texans are looking at doing. But Harley, I ask you, as we continue and wait until we find out what happens with Jonathan Grenard, um, how are your feelings in terms of bringing him back or letting him walk?
That's such a tough question.
Every hour
Uh,
I'm on a different side.
right? Like it's so tough, because I don't know if the Texans are going to be wanting to spend that money. He's going to command 20 to 25 million.
He
That's
is.
what Jonathan Grenard's going to command. The problem is with not bringing him back is who do you have to replace Jonathan Grenard?
And that's my biggest thing because well, go ahead. I'm
Yeah.
looking for what I'm trying to do.
And I agree with you. Like, who is out there that could replace Jonathan Grenard's production? Sure, you could re-sign Derek Barnett, but how do we know Derek Barnett is going to just plug and play and do the exact same thing Grenard does? We don't. Barnett was on borrowed time, and hey, he played his ass off. You also got to remember he's playing for a contract.
He is.
And he's playing to either A, re-sign with the team, or B, find another team to go to. Now, I would love to bring Barnett back. I think he'd be cheap, but I also think Barnett's just a really good backup that can start for you in a few games in a pinch, but I don't think Barnett's an everyday starter. Huff, in the other case, he's more of a pass rusher, like you said. You're looking at Spot Rec has him at 9.2 million for having to pay him about around 9 million a year. He made 4 million a year this year, so I'm not a biggest fan of him. Just because you're going to be bringing back Barnett, who to me is a really good pass rusher already, and at least better in my opinion against the run than
Mm.
Bryce Huff. I like his story. Great guy, undrafted. He does fit this scheme, I would say. He would know the scheme just because he worked with Robert Saleh. He would know D'Amico Ryans in the scheme that they're trying to put together. Um, what it, I will say I see the one comment about Frankie Louvu from Carolina. That guy's not going anywhere. That
Do
guy
you
is
think he even wants to stay with Carolina?
Frankie Louvu. I don't think Carolina lets him leave. I don't see Carolina letting him go. That guy, he's an absolute. We saw him firsthand.
Batting shit down.
I mean, he was just everywhere as a Mike linebacker for the Carolina Panthers, batting the balls down, reading the eyes of CJ Stroud, uh, almost got a pick, I believe. He was just everywhere. He was a game wrecker for them defensively. Hell, he was pretty much the only thing that they happened last year for them defensively besides Derek Brown. But Frankie Louvu is an absolute game wrecker. I don't see that happening. I really
Mm.
don't. But we've seen crazier things happen. Hey, I mean, it wouldn't hurt to ask, right? If you're the Houston Texans, like, hey, what's going on with Frankie Louvu? How's this organization doing? But I would believe that with a new head coach, you want to try to have some sort of foundational pieces on offense and defense. I think
Mm.
Louvu's that foundational piece defensively for the Panthers. Don't see it happening.
Now, when it comes to who do you bring in, right? Josh Allen, Brian Burns, they're not going anywhere. They're being franchise tagged.
Yeah. Are we so sure about that with Josh Allen? Because that's
Come
a lot of
on.
awkwardness going on with between
It
him and it's weird what's going on over there. Like I'm for real. I question whether or not that GM is gonna fumble
but then
this
you got
with
to
Josh
trade for him,
Allen.
bro. He's not just going to let him test for agency.
That is true, I guess. But I mean, they franchise tag him. That's just such a horrible move if they franchise tag him. Because then you're gonna
Someone
upset him. I mean, I don't know how much longer Josh Allen is gonna be a Jaguar. That's good for us. So,
was great for us. What do you have? 16 sacks?
I believe so. He is an absolute game wrecker. I loved him coming out of I believe he came out of
Flo-
Buffalo, I want to say.
I
Or
think it was Florida.
was it Florida?
And then he
I don't
tore his
remember.
because he came out with those ugly ass shoes. And then he
Hmm,
tore his ACL in year one. Remember that?
don't remember it at all, to be honest.
Let me see.
Kentucky, that's what it was. Came out of
Kentucky,
Kentucky. I thought
Florida.
it was Buffalo for some
Blue,
reason.
blue. You know, we saw the blue.
I was thinking Buffalo. I was probably thinking Khalil Mack, maybe. I don't know, but yeah, no, that's right. I knew it was a blue. I knew it was a blue.
Yeah. But
Um,
also, right?
yeah,
Are you giving Daniel Hunter 3 years, 65 million? That's more than what you're
hell
going to
no,
give Grenard.
hell no.
Um, Chase Young, 1 year, 15 mil.
I don't know what to think about with Chase Young, and I've
Sounds
already
like if
told
you
you
don't
this.
re-sign Grenard, you'll be forced to do that.
It's true because you got to bring in somebody,
You
right?
have to bring in because, dude, you let go of Grenard, I'm gonna be the first one complaining about not getting to the quarterback.
I mean, it's true because now you have the Texans fans that go, oh well, all right, how are we going to get to the quarterback? What are we going to do? So yeah.
Um, well, the Bryce Huff, right? 3 years, 40 mil, but that's for someone who's 25.
Yeah, again, he's just more of a pass rusher, like you were saying. Like to me, he's a really good backup. I think he can start, but he has to have the right pieces around him to start. And I mean, the Jets got that some guy named Quentin Williams. I heard he's pretty good.
Yeah, maybe the one of the best young defensive tackles in football. Zadarius Smith, 2 years, 24 mil, but he's 31.
I don't
That
really know
sounds
what he
like a move they would do.
Right? And I don't know what he did in Cleveland. I know he he wrecked Charlie Heck in Week 16. He absolutely took him to school, but he was a no show in the wild card round. Of course, the whole Browns defense was a no show, so who knows? But Zadarius Smith, I don't know his numbers. I don't know his stats.
Five
That's
and
an
a half
interesting one.
sacks.
Okay, maybe it's not an interesting one. Who knows? Um, but I do believe, actually, now that I think about it, I do believe Zadarius Smith plays on the same side as Will Anderson. So I don't think they would do that. I don't think they're going to move Will to the opposite side. I just don't see that happening. And I don't think Zadarius Smith plays that opposite side either.
Yeah, yeah. Clowney could come back, man. He could. He could. He could.
That's the one for me.
He's back.
That is the one for me. I would take Jadeveon Clowney on this team.
You know who Mike Dana is?
Mike Dana.
The edge rusher from the Kansas City Chiefs.
I don't.
They got him projected 4 years, 70 mil.
I'll be honest.
Let me
Never
see.
heard of that name in the NFL. I thought you were trying to say Dana White or something, man.
No, he's 26 years old for the Kansas
Double
City
N,
Chiefs.
Mike Dana.
Oh, 6 sacks this year, 5 sacks 2022, 3 sacks in 2021, two and a half in 2020. So get into the quarterback better. I have to see where he grades out.
I don't know a lot about him.
No, I
I
have
mean,
to
I
do my research.
definitely. I don't know that much about him at all. Is he just going to be somebody that? Yeah. See, I don't know that much about him. I really don't.
AJ Espinenza?
That's somebody I don't mind actually. I'm not saying he's going to replace Grenard to the fullest, but if you had a duo of him and Derek Barnett, I would be really happy about that. I actually would. Obviously, you're going to have to get somebody to replace Jerry Hughes. Excuse me, but if you can bring Epinesa in here along with a Derek Barnett and a duo of those two, with the biggest thing for me is everyone is looking, how are we going to replace Grenard? How are we going to replace Grenard? How do you improve the interior pass rush? Because if you let Grenard go,
Then you have to spend money there.
you got to spend money somewhere. And if it's not going to be at Grenard's position, then it has to be on the interior, right? So you got to find a way to take, the good with the bad and say, hey, we might not going to get pressure every down now with Grenard out there, not back next year. But here you go, Texans. We went out and got, I don't know, Christian Wilkins, like just off the top of my head, whatever. Like that would be an interesting move, to grab an interior defensive lineman and help Will Anderson's job a lot more.
So here are the interior defensive linemen that will be available in free agency. Give me 1 second though, because I also have to pull up the PFF where their contracts are being brought up. I mean, this is the beauty of free agency, right? This is the beauty of the offseason where we get to look towards the future. So number one, Harley, the number one defensive tackle available, Chris Jones. 4 years, 120 million. Do you see the Houston Texans bringing in arguably the best interior defensive lineman in the NFL?
Just graded off PFF, he's the best. I don't think he is the best available. But no, I don't see that happening. I think Chris Jones is going to be looking for a bag. He's taken many pay cuts with the Kansas City Chiefs. We do forget that in the offseason, he had a little bit of a pay struggle with the Chiefs, wanted some more money, wanted some more cash. Definitely see whenever, hopefully when they lose this weekend, hopefully, I do see him going out and saying, hey, you know what? Screw it. I want open market value. Somebody pay me. I'm content. I got my Super Bowls. I got my accolades. Let's see who wants me.
Justin Matabuke.
I would do that in a heartbeat. That's a bunch of money. That is a bunch of money. And to me, Justin Matabuke is the best defensive tackle available in NFL free agency. He can rush the passer. He can stop the run. He's a perfect balance of both. Him in a D'Amico Ryan scheme just gets all the Texans fans tingly inside. It feels great to think about a Justin Madubuike and Will Anderson right next to him. Oh,
That's
oh,
filthy.
that is filthy. You're oh man, yeah, that is absolutely filthy.
And just you just still clowny too on the side, and just
I would
your
not mind that.
dude, your front seven is Will Anderson Jr., the guy who we talked about in the Mel Kiper's first round from Illinois, Matabuke, and then Jadavion Clowney on the side. That'd be
Ooh,
crazy.
ooh,
Number 4 on the interior
easy.
defensive line list, former Houston Texan DJ Reader. Now, the only concern with DJ Reader is can he stay healthy
Yeah,
on the football field? 29 years old. They have him projected as a 3-year, $45.75 million contract. Now, we know DJ Reader is not someone who gets a lot of sacks. However, he does generate a ton of pressures. This is a dude who just shuts down the run. And
yeah,
with that
yeah.
contract, we're gonna also have to talk about some incentives as far as how many games you play and stuff like that. But DJ Reader is not someone. I'm sorry, is someone I would not mind coming back to Houston. It will fit our narrative of old good Houston Texans coming back to take this team to its former glory. You talk about the veteran aspect of it. He's been in big games. I mean, Super Bowl not too long ago.
No,
So
no, no.
I would not mind DJ Reader coming back.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind it either. I do wonder if that's the type of guy D'Amico Ryans looks at, just because D'Amico's scheme, his defensive tackles aren't big. They aren't big fat guys like a DJ Reader. To me, though, the only difference with DJ compared to like big old fat guy is he is so athletic.
Mhm.
He's athletically crazy. He is. And so I do wonder if, just because of his athleticism, that, maybe it is different this time with D'Amico Ryan's scheme. But DJ Reader overall is a man child. I mean, he plugs up any holes you got on again the run defense and let him work, right? The only thing with him, he's averaged around 16 million from spot rack, in terms of paying him. So, would you look at 3 years, 48 million for him? Especially a guy like you said, he's starting to rack up some injuries, and I'm not quite sure if I want to take that chance on DJ Reader. I also wonder, does DJ Reader get love in free agency? Like, I feel like,
Mm.
and just a hypothesis.
Hell,
I
go
just
ahead.
think that
I like that.
I just think that it could take a while for him to get picked up by somebody, regardless of his talent.
Mm.
Maybe you do it like how you got Dalton Schultz for a lot cheaper in free agency, and maybe it works out for the Texans, and you bring in a DJ Reader for a 1 year, maybe 12 million instead of 16 million. That's 4 million difference right there. Like, that doesn't sound like too bad of a deal now. I don't know if it happens. It's just a hypothesis. Okay. I'm just throwing shit on the wall, obviously to help and benefit our team. But yeah, I wouldn't mind DJ. I don't think it's gonna happen, to be honest.
Shout out to our dude Christopher. He asked, "What did we talk about?" Once again, you can hear everything we talked about on the Believe in Texans podcast and Spotify. We
Yep.
talked a little bit about free agency. We talked a little bit about the draft, what we thought what were our biggest needs.
Yeah.
Mel Kiper, we reacted to his first round mock draft with the Houston Texans. We're selecting the defensive tackle from Illinois, and right now we're going through some of the top 10 in terms of free agency at a certain position. We just went through the edge rushers, and then we're just going to finish it off with the defensive tackles. Shout out to you, Christopher. Number 5, Harley, they have Leonard Williams, someone who is
Mm.
on board to make more than DJ Reader. 3 years, $51.75 million, 37 guaranteed, 17.25 a year. He is 29 years old, about to be 30. Leonard Williams is, it's a name, but not someone I think the Houston Texans would be looking at in dishing out this kind of money.
Pass. That's all I gotta say. No, that's what I gotta say. 4 sacks.
Oscar says our edits on Spotify are wrong. Okay. Titles. I have to check out the titles. My
Excuse
fault.
us.
Shout out to you, Oscar. Um,
Appreciate it.
it has Sheldon Rankins, 2 years, $20 million. Are you bringing back Sheldon Rankins?
Eh. I
Six
mean, I
sacks
don't.
for you this year.
I mean, I don't mind him. He was serviceable. I would rather upgrade at the position. But he's all right. He was okay. I think the Texans could do themselves a service and look at other options. I do think Rankins is a guy that doesn't get picked up. Uh, Probably the first week or two of free agency,
Mm-hmm.
and you could, if you miss out on anybody, you could circle back to him. But I mean, him, Malik Collins, Khalil Davis, Kurt Heinisch, those are your four guys that were at defensive tackle for you. Not sure what they're going to do with Taylor Tart, just given that he didn't play the last few games, the important ones like the playoffs. Um, so I don't know what's going to happen there. I'd like to bring back Tart, but I don't know what happened there. But yeah, I mean, maybe not.
Speaking of tired Tart, they have him here as number 8 on the list. 3 years, $31.5 million for Tier
Nope.
Tart. I don't know what they saw in Tier Tart to think he offers that type of deal. Like Harley just said, we did not see him here at the Houston Texans. I mean, you weren't there for our biggest games, brother. I doubt you're someone, who's gonna be
Yeah.
a focal point into next year when we head into training camp and stuff. They have Fletcher Cox 1 year, $9 million. I doubt he leaves the Philadelphia Eagles. Javon Kinlaw, 1 year, $5.5 million. Does he go back with D'Amico Ryans? Do we see a career resurgence? I'm not sure. Kinlaw would be interesting. Someone else who would be interesting, and this will end the night for us. Grover Stewart from the Indianapolis Colts, 30 years old. Have him at 3 years, 30 mil. So that's pricey. But this is a guy who is dominant at stopping the run. Not at every down defensive tackle, but this is someone who shuts down the run game.
Yeah, he does. And damn it, he was an absolute force the first time we played the Colts. He made Jarrett Patterson look like a tuna can. I mean, he was just ridiculous. What he did to that grown man was just horrible. And I know he's a rookie, but damn, that he made him look really, really bad. Grover Stewart is not a bad option whatsoever. I don't mind that. A veteran that you could bring in here, a really good veteran. And to me, it's an upgrade over a Sheldon Rankins and a Malik Collins. Yeah, I would definitely do that. I don't know what he's marketed at. Spot Rack doesn't give me anything. So, but yeah, I would absolutely do a 2 year deal maybe with Grover Stewart. Yeah, a 2 year deal maybe with Grover Stewart. I would not mind that whatsoever. Does he get the same money maybe like Sheldon Rankins, 10 million a year? I don't know. Maybe he gets a little bit more. Maybe he's looking around that 12 million mark. But
Mm.
who knows? I would jump all over that if I'm the Houston Texans. You get to take him away from the division, and or take him away from a division rival. Excuse me. Yeah, I would do that. Give me.
Yeah, and Jorge, we're not sure why everyone wants us to keep drafting offensive line as well. You just got to see this group build and grow together. This is going to be your offensive line for the next 3 years at least. At least. Harley, it already feels like the season is so far away. I cannot wait for this championship Sunday. First of all, who do you have? Baltimore, Kansas City?
Baltimore, man.
Has to be Baltimore.
Baltimore by 50. If they look, man, I'll tell you this: if Baltimore, they played around a little bit in the first half. You did see Lamar Jackson upset with them in the first half in the Texans game. They came out totally different in the second half, and they just laid it on us. They're gonna have Mark Andrews back. I don't know about Marlon Humphrey, but he should definitely be back if he was close to playing the last week against us. Those are two big guys that you're gonna have back potentially for the Ravens, and they're gonna take the Chiefs seriously. They're not gonna take them lightly like they did in the first half against the Texans. You could tell in that halftime they were like, "Hey man, we're tired with rookies. Come on, man, let's bring it on."
Almost
Like,
down 13-10.
yeah, like let's turn up the heat, guys. We're losing the rookies right now. Let's turn up the heat. They absolutely did it. Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen. I mean, they police the middle of the field. It's going to be an absolute tough day for Patrick Mahomes and them. Specifically, they're at the bank,
Hmm.
and that crowd is legit. It's one of the more underrated NFL stadiums. NFL fans, like, they are super underrated.
You saw our
Super.
line struggle, man.
I mean, the pre-snap penalties was ridiculous. It's not like our offensive line is like crazy young or anything either. You had a veteran in Larry Tunsil, a veteran in Dieter, a veteran in Shaq Mason, a veteran in George Fant. The only rookie was Drew Scruggs. Now, he got ate up too in that game as well as
Hmm.
everyone else, but it is what it is. I hope the Ravens whoop their ass. I'm tired of seeing Taylor Swift and Brittany Mahomes, and they're just the whole focal point of Kansas City is those two. They're so, man. That's you know they have I respect them. This is their sixth straight AFC Championship game. Hey man,
Elite.
that's
This is a
elite. That
dynasty right now we're
Oh
watching.
yeah, it's Astros esque. It's just like the Astros. But my difference with that is the Astros are obnoxious because of A, the fans, and B, what happened in 2017. Chiefs are obnoxious because of that damn press box and the cameraman that goes there every 5 minutes. It's ridiculous, man. I'm so sick of them. So sick of them.
I mean, when you have arguably the biggest pop star, biggest star in general of our generation, dude, it's crazy. It's crazy. I definitely do not want to see the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. I hope it is the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar
Mm.
Jackson, you are the MVP of this league, man. I hope you go out there and get you one and you prove doubters wrong. You pave a way for the other quarterbacks who play like you. And I think you should be going to the Super Bowl. When you look at the other battle, NFC matchup, Detroit Lions, San Francisco 49ers, I don't know how anyone in America is not rooting for the Detroit Lions. I mean, you talk about their story this year. I mean, their story the past couple of years. There was a clip on TikTok of Stephen A. Smith making fun of the Lions coach Dan Campbell's uh introduction speech talking about when you knock me down, I'm going to go up and bite a kneecap and I'm going to bite another kneecap and take another chuck off you. And now they are one game away from the Super Bowl with Jared Goff. And man, I- it's going to be hard to choose between Baltimore and Detroit at
Yeah.
Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah, I'm obviously rooting for the Lions. I want Aaron Glenn to win a Super Bowl. I
Oof,
really do. Anybody that remembers Aaron Glenn, original Houston Texan, great
star.
number 31 for the Houston Texans, great cornerback for us. Uh, I hope he wins Super Bowl, but it's not gonna happen.
You
There's
got
a
San Fran
conspiracy,
winning?
man. There's a conspiracy, man.
What?
It's the Ravens versus the 49ers. It's been going on since weeks ago. We were screwed out of the divisional game because the NFL wants the Baltimore Ravens in the damn Super Bowl versus the 49ers. It's a damn screw job going on here. It's a It's a whole Montreal screw job happening. I hate to mention the guy's name
I was,
because
I
there's
was,
some
I
stuff
was, I
going
was,
on there.
I was.
But the the NFL screwed the NFL. They have a screw job going on, man. And apologies to the fan base here in Houston. Apologies to the fan base in Green Bay. Like
Okay.
there is a conspiracy going on. It is the Ravens and the Niners. They're destined for a Super Bowl meeting. There's conspiracies. There's pictures to prove it. It's going crazy, man. I'm tired of it, man. If this happens, I'm gonna be very upset because this will be the third year in a row they picked the colors of the Super Bowl teams, and it's happened 3 years in a row. That would be hard to go. Okay, this feels a little weird. It's
That
starting
dude,
to
that's
feel
why they're gonna
scripted.
start rigging the game for CJ Stroud, bro.
I need it to happen. Next year's Super Bowl colors, give me that H Town blue. Give me those new jerseys. Maybe they unveil the new jerseys as the Super Bowl colors, and we're gonna go berserk. That's definitely a 20-minute talking point. If our colors are on the Super Bowl mantra next year, I'm going berserk. I'm going, CJ Stroud is here, ladies and gentlemen, the best quarterback in the NFL. I hope so. I'm going nuts for it, man. It's a conspiracy on our hands, and you're not taking this with the right gravity, man. You got to take this more seriously. It's like the NBA with the
No,
refereeing,
the
man. The
NBA is for
refereeing
sure
is
rigged. For sure,
NBA is
it's
the
for
referees
sure
suck.
rigged. I mean, and you even hear the players talk about it, right? Really listen to the Jeff Teague podcast, and they talk about how it is playing in a closeout game. Like what did one player say? We have to win by 15 and win by 1. And I mean, the refs have been cracked down for changing the game. In football, it is a little harder
Yeah,
because
yeah.
as a ref myself, dude, it you would know if a referee was throwing the game, right? The game against the Saints and Rams, I mean, there it was for sure someone had money, on the Rams going to the Super Bowl, right? How do you not call that pass interference, right? Harley, before we go, do you have any final thoughts on the situation with Vince McMahon and the WWE?
um, I'll keep it PG, but they can keep all that innocent till proven guilty shit. They
Yeah,
could
he
throw that out the window
he
because
did it.
dude, there all kinds of stuff has came out. Text messages have came out. There's a paper trail behind him paying in a car for her, WrestleMania tickets for this woman. There's everything's gonna come out for this guy. Slim Jim has already dropped out as a sponsor for WWE. They're definitely yeah, they're on pause right now. WWE, man, it sucks, man, because
Then
they
they were
were
just
just
acquired by the UFC.
yes, and TKO is the overall company. But and now they got to answer questions that predates their history. Like they Vince McMahon's never been employed with them, so it's
Tough to
tough
talk
for
about.
them. Yeah, so it is what it is. I hope justice is served, and I hope somewhere he's rotting in a jail cell.
Yeah, very disappointing to hear that about someone that we used to.
Lost a
I'm
lot of respect, man.
lost a lot of respect. What's crazy is like, when you really look back and look at the stuff that he used as far as storylines, it makes sense. AEW
Yeah,
is nowhere
not
near,
even near. It's not
nowhere
even better than
near
NXT.
near the WWE, and that's with guys like I mean, who do they? Oh, they just signed Will Ospreay. They have
Yeah,
Kenny Omega. I mean, those are two of the best of the best. Yes, we know it's fake, man, but the drama, the
it's so much fun.
WWE. Listen, WWE, what they have done in the past 3 years is must watch television. If you are wanting a story that is going to have you drop your jaw every single week, you
Draws?
tune in to not only Raw, you tune in to SmackDown because it's that good, guys. I mean, we're willing to watch shows. Just think of this as another show.
Yeah.
That's it. Think of this as Spartacus, right? Old show from HBO where you see them talking off screen,
Yeah.
and the most of the time they're kicking each other's ass.
Yeah, exactly. And to say it's fake, hey buddy, you go out there and go do that, man. These guys are stuntmen.
Would you take a
Playing
bump? Okay, like okay, not just any bump. Like if they say
kind
Jeff
of bump.
Hardy jump off a ladder, smash through tables for like, let's just say WrestleMania tickets, would you do it?
I might think about it, but
If you
I
could
might
see
think
where
about
that
it.
guy in the green shirt is the entire like,
Oh, dude, I want to. No, I want to have a beer with that guy. I want to sit next to him.
dude, I want to know how he affords to go to every single WWE pay-per-view and sit right in the middle, the best seat in the house.
I don't know how he does it.
And he
Every
always
single
wears a
damn
green
time.
shirt.
And that green cool. It looks like a Kool-Aid shirt or
It does look
something.
like a Kool-Aid shirt.
And
Speaking of WWE, Royal Rumble's tomorrow.
it is tomorrow. Crap, I forgot about it. All right, man. Okay, we got to end the show with that. What's the predictions? Who do
Okay.
you think's winning? Men and women first, then the men. Go
Okay.
for it.
Now, hold on, let me ask you this. Do you think Jada um debuts at the Rumble?
I think so. I think that's an absolute lock.
I think she wins.
Ooh.
You don't just
Ooh.
sign the hottest free agent in recent memory. And with AEW, she was the top of the top. And I wonder who she's gonna face. You know, it's gonna be a great matchup. I think EO loses the title by Elimination Chamber. They have a bigger matchup at WrestleMania, but I think she is one of them. Do we see AJ Lee return?
It's an interesting conversation as well.
Would you be mad if she won it?
Yeah, I
You
would.
would.
I would. I'd be a little mad. I'd be like, okay,
What about
come
Bailey?
on. That's the one for me. I think Bailey's winning it.
Ooh.
And I think Bailey's, they've been setting this up pretty well. She's going to turn on Damage Control. She's going to win the title and beat Io Sky at WrestleMania
Mm.
and end up being the women's champion after WrestleMania. It's going to the men's, though, man. There's so many.
I have three options:
Woo! Here we go.
Cody Rhodes,
Okay.
CM Punk,
Yeah.
The Rock.
The Rock. The Rock's not going to be in the Royal Rumble. I don't think so.
At 30,
Who knows? But I just don't see that.
what's bigger, Elimination Chamber or the Royal Rumble?
For The Rock, I would say, so for me, the Royal Rumble. But
Come on.
WWE has Elimination Chamber for the first time ever. It's going to be in Australia.
Yeah,
And
like
if
4
they
o'clock
want,
in the morning.
if they want to hype up that pay-per-view, and hey, I love Elimination Chamber, but definitely Royal Rumble though. I just don't see that happening with The Rock because he's not going to win the title. He's not staying.
Who?
He's not staying. He has an acting
Brother.
career. He's not staying.
I know he's not gonna win the title.
It's so obvious that they shouldn't do that. What I know what they're gonna do, and it's gonna be Rock versus Roman at WrestleMania. That's a ridiculous match. It's ridiculous. Like what happened to Cody Rhodes? What happened to all this stuff? What happened to all the buildup?
Well, that's why I could see him winning.
That would be so upsetting. But
if it's CM Punk?
That's one of my guys. I think Punk. It feels like he would win it. Gunther definitely has to be in there because Gunther is fantastic.
Why not just give him the title with Seth Rollins being out on injury?
Seth Rollins is gonna run it, man. He's gonna go on a torn MCL.
No, he's not.
Yeah, he's gonna run it, man.
He
He's
better
crazy.
not.
He's crazy, dude. Like his back's already injured. You could have just imagined he's already going. He's already shooting up the whatever he's got shooting up, man. Yeah, man. He got a lot more than that going through there, I would believe. But yeah, no, I think CM Punk, I think Gunther. I can't see Cody Rhodes because he won it last year. So I don't think they're going to do back-to-back. I would love a storyline in terms of Cody Rhodes loses and he goes a little bit crazy. He's so into trying to get to Roman Reigns that he'll do anything to fight Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. And why not have this?
Oh,
Why
we're
not?
forgetting about someone.
Who are we forgetting about?
LA Knight.
That's the big one. But he's not going to be in the Rumble. He's going to be fighting in the Fatal 4-Way.
Which he's not going to win.
No, it has to be Roman that wins that, right? Like, it would make sense. But they said The Rock wants to fight Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. It did not say Roman had to be the title holder.
So
they fight for the head of the table.
Let's go.
So valuable. Like, they've boosted that up to be so valuable. I love that this whole chat turned from the Texans football to whole WWE. I absolutely love it. No, they're not wrestling, unfortunately. They're both in the Hall of Fame.
Why not? I mean, damn.
This is my theory. I was going to finish, actually.
Go ahead.
Rock versus Roman Reigns. They fight night 1 of WrestleMania. Main event it. Hear me out.
No.
Hear me out. Hear me out. Roman Reigns, let's say, how do we do this? Let's say he ends up, I don't know, losing to The Rock. The Rock beats him. Rock's head of the table, all this good jazz. Roman Reigns is upset, all this stuff. The reason why Roman Reigns loses is because Cody Rhodes interferes. And Cody Rhodes says, you want your get back? Meet me night 2 for the title.
Having Roman Reigns wrestle back-to-back nights
would, first of all, drive up the revenue.
You didn't think about this yourself, did you?
Second of all, to have him lose 2 nights in a row after he hasn't lost in however long, first of all, it pushes his character a little bit down, I have to say, but it creates for a fantastic storyline. And obviously, I thought of this. I am a really good, I think of these things and it never happens, but I would wish it would happen. If any WWE writer is listening to me right now via the YouTube Live, via our TV screens and whatever mics that's going on secretly, the phone as well, like, hear me out.
Go ahead.
Let's have Roman Reigns night 1, night 2 main event WrestleMania. He's the biggest star right now in the WWE. He's the biggest draw right now in the WWE, second to The Rock at the moment because The Rock's back. That would be amazing.
But that fight of him and The Rock is going to have to be epic.
Sure.
And then you're going to want him to have 2 epic back-to-back matches, like...
Gotta have
okay, but what if the bloodline is consistently interfering in night 2 to help the playing field, and we see Cody just fucking Cody color out of them?
Who says Randy Orton doesn't help him?
Oh my god, I would really hate to see Cody win it with the help of someone else.
I would too. I would rather him do it by himself.
That's why I don't think
a better story.
But
it's got to be something because Roman has won consistently with people helping him. Who's to say that Randy Orton, LA Knight, and AJ Styles go out there and just beat the shit out of Solo and whatever their faces are? Well, Jimmy is going to be facing Jey Uso at WrestleMania. That's sold, right? I mean, we all know that's going to happen, right?
We do.
Brother versus brother.
I guess we'll have a better, idea tomorrow when it happens. But I mean, Cody is also on the cover of NBA. I'm not NBA, WWE 2K.
He can't lose. He's got to. You can't give me another year of it. I would be pissed. I have to wait a whole nother year, and Roman Reigns is still the champion, and Cody Rhodes is fighting some random dude every other 3 months, 2 months. He's back to fighting the Judgment Day. Like, no, I don't want to see that no more. Cody Rhodes' character is at a stale right now. It's not going up. It's not going down. But it's nice. It's all right.
Mm-hmm.
But have him fight Roman Reigns and win. Now you can do something with his character. You can catapult it into stardom.
100%. And we are going to end with that, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out for the extra WWE talk at the end. We want to thank you all for being a part of today's episode, brought to you by Bet Online, where the game starts. Guys, you